All right, so today we're diving into some of history's, most famous love letters, the ones you can find in the Bible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we're going straight to the text. No video script needed this time.
Sounds good.
But, we're not just talking about romantic love here. We're going way deeper than that.
Okay.
Looking at love for community, love for God, even love for humanity as a whole.
It is really interesting to think about all the ways these ancient texts explore love. And how relevant they still are to us today.
Totally. It's mind-blowing how timeless these messages about love really are.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Okay.
Maybe start with, the most unexpected love letter.
Oh, intriguing.
The Song of Solomon.
Oh, yes.
Seriously, how did a book with, some pretty steamy language end up in the Bible?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a contrast to some of the other scriptures.
Right.
But it's often seen as an allegory.
Oh, okay.
And so using all that vivid imagery, arise, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me, to symbolize something deeper, like God's love for his people.
So it's like a secret code for a different kind of love.
Exactly.
That's way more interesting than just taking it literally. When you understand those ancient literary devices, it adds a whole new layer to the reading experience.
It really does.
It makes you think maybe there's more to some of the other stories too.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got this intense, maybe even a bit secretive love in the Song of Solomon.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking about Paul's letters. Song of Solomon is all about celebrating physical love, right? But Paul, he dives into how love works within a community. But some people find his tone a little harsh at times.
Yeah.
So how do we balance that with his focus on love?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that Paul was writing to early Christian communities.
Yeah.
Who were facing some pretty unique challenges.
Right.
Think about the Corinthian church, for example.
Okay.
They were dealing with all sorts of internal conflicts and moral dilemmas.
So it wasn't just happy, feel-good messages all the time. He was dealing with real stuff.
He was trying to guide these communities towards a more unified and loving way of life.
That makes a lot of sense.
And for him, love was the foundation for service and for spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Like in Philippians, where he says, I thank my God every time I remember you.
Yeah.
Because of your partnership in the gospel.
That partnership, that's key. It's all about working together through love.
Yeah, exactly.
But, when we talk about defining love, I think nothing beats 1 Corinthians.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
That passage where he says, love is patient, love is kind.
Right.
We've all heard it at weddings, maybe even memorized it.
Probably.
But have you ever thought about why he chose those specific qualities to highlight to the Corinthians?
Well,
why those?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because Corinth was known for being competitive. And for people being really proud. They were struggling with things like jealousy and boasting. So when Paul defines love, he's directly addressing their issues.
Oh, that's interesting.
Calling them to be better.
Yeah.
He was basically saying, hey, if you want to call yourselves a loving community, this is what it looks like.
So it was he was giving them a custom prescription for their problems.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see Paul in a whole new light.
That's great. And that's what's so amazing about these texts.
Right.
They're full of timeless wisdom, but they're also deeply rooted in their historical context.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It adds so much depth when you understand the background.
For sure.
It's like unlocking a secret code.
It really is, yeah. It really makes you appreciate the depth of those words, Love is patient, love is kind.
Yeah.
Especially knowing, what they were going through back then.
Definitely.
Okay, so now I'm kind of curious how the Old Testament talks about love.
Well, the Old Testament uses this concept called covenant love.
Okay.
It's often translated as heezed in Hebrew.
Heezed? Yeah. I've heard that word before.
Yeah.
But never really understood it.
It's a pretty powerful idea. It's about this deep, unwavering commitment, often used to describe God's relationship with his people.
So it's way more than just, warm, fuzzy feelings.
Exactly. It goes beyond fleeting emotions.
Right.
It's a love that sticks around even when the other person isn't so lovable.
Wow.
It's about choosing faithfulness and forgiveness, even when you've been betrayed.
Okay, so that sets a pretty high bar.
It does.
For us, in our relationships. Yeah. But we see glimpses of that kind of love in the songs, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like those raw, honest expressions of longing for God.
The Psalms are so powerful.
Yeah.
They give us this incredible window into the human heart, yearning for connection with something bigger.
Yeah, totally.
And they're filled with such amazing imagery.
Right.
Like, take Psalm 23, for example.
Okay.
Where God is described as a shepherd.
Yeah.
Who guides and protects his flock.
That image of the shepherd.
Yeah.
It's so comforting.
It is.
It speaks to, like, that deep need we all have for, security and belonging.
Absolutely.
And then there's Psalm 139.
Oh, beautiful.
Which celebrates, like, the wonder of creation and how intimately God knows each of us. That verse where it says, for you formed my inward parts.
Yeah.
You knitted me together in my mother's womb.
It's like a love letter to humanity itself.
Totally.
Recognizing the inherent worth and beauty of every single person.
It's incredible how these, like, ancient poems can still make us feel so much.
They really do. They have this timeless quality.
Yeah.
They remind us that even when we're at our lowest, we're not alone.
And that brings us to, I think, the most famous Bible verse about love.
Okay, which one?
John 3.16.
Ah, yes.
For God so loved the world.
So simple.
Right.
But so profound.
It's like so short, but there's so much meaning packed into it.
It really is like the gospel in a nutshell.
Right.
It captures like the essence of God's love for all of us.
But what always gets me is this idea that God's love is so powerful that he sacrifices his own son.
It's a love that's willing to give everything.
Yeah,
it really makes you think about what true sacrifice means.
Yeah.
And it challenges us to think about how we can reflect that same kind of love in our own lives.
Yeah.
How can we move beyond just thinking about ourselves and start putting others first?
That's a tough one. It is. But, it's a good challenge to have. Yeah, it's tough to think about love like that.
It is. It's definitely not the easy kind of love.
No.
Not the kind of see in the movies.
Right. It's more than just a feeling.
Exactly. It's a choice.
Yeah, a commitment.
Yeah.
Well, thinking back on, on everything we've talked about today, from Song of Solomon with all its passion to John 3.16 and that idea of self-giving love.
It's amazing how many different ways the Bible shows us love.
Yeah, like it's a whole spectrum, isn't it?
It is. It's fascinating how those different expressions all kind of connect and inform each other.
Right.
They all point back to this basic human need to connect, to belong.
It's like we've been putting together a puzzle,
Oh, I like that.
Each book we've looked at is like another piece. And what's really cool is how much these ancient texts still resonate with us today.
I know, right?
Like they were written thousands of years ago.
Crazy to think about.
But they still have so much to teach us.
It's because they tap into these universal human experiences.
Yeah, totally.
That transcend, time and culture.
It's like they're love letters to all of humanity.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And they're still offering us guidance and inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. They invite us to keep exploring, to keep questioning, and to keep loving.
I love that.
It's a journey, isn't it?
It really is.
It's when we're all on together.
Before we wrap up, I have one last question for you.
Okay, shoot.
If you could write your own love letter to humanity, what would it say?
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I would focus on empathy and understanding. I would urge everyone to try to see the world through each other's eyes, to recognize our shared humanity, to build bridges instead of walls.
That's beautiful.
It's something we desperately need, especially these days.
It seems like we've forgotten how to really listen to each other.
I know. It's easy to get caught up in our own little bubbles.
Right.
But it's never too late to start over.
Yeah.
Even small acts of kindness can make a difference.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, I think so too.
We've just scratched the surface today.
We have. There's so much more to discuss.
There's so much more to learn about love and its power to change life.
It's a lifelong journey.
It is.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep loving.
Beautiful.
That's the message I'd leave everyone with.
And remember, the most important lessons about love, they're not found in words.
Right.
But in action.
Exactly. Go out there and show the world what love looks like.
Love you guys. See you later.